Hello, I'm Alexa. Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about product design internships, and more specifically, how to prepare your online portfolio as well as your offline portfolio so you are ready and more prepared going into an interview. Grace is currently a senior studying in the BFA Interaction Design program at California College of the Arts. Originally from Vancouver, Canada, she came to the US after high school to study at an art school. She was a product design intern at Zendesk on the Sunshine team during the summer of 2019 and is currently in her last semester of school. Her favorite things in life include illustration, hot drinks, and plants. Grace, I'm so excited to have you here. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm very excited to be here too, Alexa.
Awesome. Let's jump into the questions.
Cool.
I'd love to hear first, why did you decide to study design and go to CCA?
So actually, I always thought that I was going to go into illustration in high school, and then I didn't even know UX design was like a field until a few months before college apps were due. My mom actually stumbled across this program at CCA, and then I thought, oh, this is super interesting, like designing to create impact, and it seemed like a very versatile field that I could choose what area I wanted to work in, so I decided to just apply for this program and come here for school.
Amazing. Can you talk a little bit more about that? Your mom just found it?
Yeah. So we were looking at like different websites and different programs, mostly like illustration, and then CCA also had illustration, but then like we came across the interaction design program, and then it turns out that like it's a very new field, we found out, and then CCA has like a leading program in this field. We have like a lot of very professional faculty who are working in the industry, and then the program also has like these very deep industry connections from these faculty, and it teaches like the entire design process, starting from research all the way to the end, like user testing, prototyping, interviewing, all that. So yeah, it's very comprehensive.
I can definitely vet for Grace's amazing illustration skills. I think I'm gonna include a couple shots here, like we'll cut to it right now. Amazing work, really.
Thank you.
Really. Yeah, I think it actually helps you tell stories better in your work, right?
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit more about that actually?
Okay. So actually, like for example, at Zendesk, I remember for my final presentation, I told the story of like a customer support agent helping a customer with the timeline, and then I drew little illustrations to help tell that story. So I think like just having those illustrations helps give people a better picture of what's going on, and also makes it more delightful. Like, I mean, people laugh, and that was really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a nice way to storytell.
So today I really wanted to hone in on internships. A lot of people are really interested in getting them, and also it's a huge stepping stone for people to get their first job.
Yeah.
Right? So I was curious to learn a little bit more about what was your experience looking for your internship last year?
Last year, okay.
Which was, you ultimately ended up working at Zendesk.
Yeah.
Right? So but walk us through what that process was like.
My program at my school requires us to do an internship to graduate, so it was like pretty stressful for all of us. It was our first time finding an internship for most of us, so we were all like, oh my gosh, we have to like get something, otherwise we won't graduate. Our faculty kind of gave us some information sessions on how to do, like how to prepare for interviews, apply. I think the biggest takeaway from that I got was it's kind of like a numbers game. You just have to apply to as many places as you can. One of the professors told us it was like a funnel, so maybe you apply to 50 places, you get 5 interviews, and then you get 1 or 2 offers. So it's like that.
Do you remember about how many you reached out to?
I think around like 50-ish.
Yeah.
Our professors actually pushed us to do more, like 100 or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a lot.
Totally, yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing. And so just in regards to your portfolio itself, what do you remember about like preparing that? How did you put that together?
For the portfolio builder itself, I use Semplice, which is a theme built on WordPress. I would recommend that. My friends use Webflow and Squarespace and other ones. But I think I started by just looking at a lot of different portfolios online. You just Google like best top UX portfolios and then just look at that for examples. And then I kind of tried to create some pieces based on that. I think the recommended amount of pieces is like around 3, like 2 to 4 at most. Like it's always quality over quantity, I think, to have your best pieces be on display. So I did that, and then I actually, once I had the pieces ready, I like went around and showed some professors and friends and asked for feedback on what I can improve, like maybe too much wording or the flow or structure wasn't clear. I remember being told to treat like the portfolio kind of as a trailer to your work, so don't give away too much. I would say an online portfolio is a bit less than an offline portfolio. It's just a preview of the work, so
yes.
Yeah, that's how I approached it.
Grace, that is it. You hit the nail on the head. That is exactly what I talk about.
Yeah.
What did it look like creating your offline portfolio? Because ultimately, what I remember is that's what you presented to us at Zendesk. It was you had taken the work that was on your online site and put it into a presentation format.
Yeah, definitely. So I would highly recommend not presenting off your website when you're doing interviews. I think just like the the way that the work is being delivered through a website and through a presentation is very different. When you're presenting with slides, it's much more like in the moment, and you're storytelling and communicating, giving information to a live audience, and that's very different from when you're reading it off a website. I took the presentations I created during class, since I'm in school, so I had these presentation decks ready. It was during class crits, but then I kind of tweaked them a bit just to make them more higher level and comprehensive, since I'm presenting for people who have never seen my work and don't even know me.
Okay, so now I think it'd be a great opportunity to review some of your slides. I really wanted to show more of like an example to everyone of like what your presentation looked like, and allow you to walk us through a little bit more specifically what your process was for creating them. Does that sound good?
Yeah, that sounds great.
Okay, why don't we grab them?
Okay.
So Grace, what are we looking at?
Okay, so this is one of the two products that I presented. It's from my Design for Healthcare class, and it's called Soothe. It was a project designing for eczema. I kind of created like an app and a ring that kind of detects and tracks your scratching. That was my concept, to help people with eczema better manage their and understand their condition. And for people who don't know what eczema is, it's like a very dry skin condition. I have it, so that's why I chose to do my project on this. So I start by kind of just giving a very quick project overview. I talk about what the project is in a very high level, the project type, it's an individual project, how long I spent on it, and the tools that I used. Also, if you notice at the top here on this gray bar, it's a progress bar that I have throughout the presentation, so the audience can generally see where I'm at when I'm presenting. And here I give like a general process of what I did. So I chose a topic, did exploration, exploratory research, a problem definition, prototyping, user testing and insights, and then the refined design over 4 weeks. So I start here by kind of just giving an overview, like context to what exactly is eczema. A lot of people don't know, so it's important to lay out the context and necessary information that your audience should know before you get into what you actually made. This is an example of a slide. This is something that I learned from my peers at CCA actually. When you're creating slides, I use Keynote, and one of the tools is called Magic Move. It really helps to deliver pieces of information in like small digestible segments. It's so easy to just put so much information on a slide, but this really helps me talk through things in real time and helps the audience focus on what exactly you're trying to say at the time. So yeah, there is no cure. I really want to emphasize on the fact that there is no cure, so I only have this, and then I show information about like the different ways that people try to alleviate the symptoms. So living with eczema, again, I kind of like talk about the emotional side from my research, like the things that people experience from it, embarrassment, shame, interference with daily activities, restrictions on eating and activities. So for these parts, I actually didn't have it on the slide, but I remember for each point I would share a quick anecdote. For example, embarrassment and shame, I would talk about my sister being called a monster in elementary school. Those little personal stories are really effective in delivering why this matters, why I should design, or why do things a certain way. Yeah. And then here is like this is my slide of problem definition. I was talking about the itch scratch cycle. So again, I go through each step here to explain kind of like how eczema works with the itching. And then I highlight the area that I want to target for designing for the area. And then I kind of go even more into detail, like the moments that I want to design for. When people aren't paying attention, when people are stressed, and when people are asleep, that's when people tend to scratch the most.
Yeah, I really like how you can tell that you've designed this presentation as if you were presenting it, and then you can really allow people to, you're controlling the conversation essentially.
Yeah.
It's like, these are the steps, this is the overview, okay, now we're going to focus on this very specific area, and then even more specifically, this is the thing.
Exactly, yeah. Whereas if I just had everything, all that at once, it's kind of hard to follow what exactly I'm saying. Like read it and then also listen to me talk. Yeah. So then here is my main question, like how might we help someone suffering from eczema break out of the itch cycle? I just have this very big question here for the audience to like think about as I talk through. And then I move on to like, this is like a next section, so I just made this really big like title page for it. And then I kind of go through, usually I start with like a broad overview of the 3 different ideas or whatever I'm presenting. And I have the question repeated up here again, just to make sure that people are still on the same page. And then I go in detail into each of the ideas. So I made like 3 different slides for these. And then I kind of just talk through what ideas, like why I came up with these ideas and what they are. And then user testing, this is like the next section. and you can see like my progress bar was moving along the way. I give an overview of the people I tested with just to show that, oh, I'm designing for like a younger audience.
Are these all real people that you know?
Yes, these are like people I know and like people, like friends of friends. I try to reach out to people who are like one step further instead of directly people I know. Yeah, I think that's better for user testing since you don't have the bias of like you guys are friends. When you're interviewing people or testing, ask them if it's okay for you to use their photos. And you can also blur it or change their name and make them anonymous. But my participants here were all like fine with me using their real information.
Good.
So then these are my insights. So what I did for these slides is I had the insight from my research and then had a quote to back it up. So kind of again like the anecdotal aspect of it. So I have like 3 or 4 insights. Yeah. So using these insights from the testing, I created a refined design. And then kind of just again laying out what exactly it is, the final concept. It's a ring and an app just so people know what exactly I made. And then I talk through each feature of it, so breaking it down. First part is tracking the scratching through time and space, so I just kind of talk about the screen here. And then the second part is like customizing how you want to be alerted when you're scratching the screen here. And then like I also created this mindfulness practice session, so just kind of walking through that. That was the last feature. And then I end my presentation with learnings and next steps.
Can you talk through what the slide, like why you put the slide in here?
Okay, yeah, so I think it's important to like share what you learned from the project. Even if it's like a failed project, I think what you learned and you can take onto your next project is really important. And then next steps is like maybe you didn't get to it, but what you would think about, like looking back and reflecting, how would you have done things differently, or moving forward, what would you continue doing with this project?
You've created your online portfolio, you've simultaneously created your offline one. What was your strategy then for going into an actual interview and presenting it?
I'll talk about my experience at Zendesk, for example. I guess like it was like 3 parts. The first one was just like a initial screening with the recruiter. It was more logistical, like, oh, when can I start? Am I authorized to work in the US since I'm Canadian? And those things. And then the second one was...
Well, so talk more about that though. Like how did you prepare at all going into that conversation?
Oh yeah. Actually, yeah. So like when I applied to Zendesk, as I did for other companies, I did some general research on the company. And then when I applied for the role, it was very specific for Sunshine. So I remember watching a video on Sunshine. I had no idea what customer support software or B2B like products were. We don't really do that in school. It was more consumer facing. So I watched a video about Sunshine explaining what it is and how to use it. That was very helpful, I think. So I would highly recommend kind of just getting to know the company as much as you can. If you know what team or product you'll be working on, definitely look into that too.
First interview was a call with a recruiter. Second was what?
Second one was a virtual interview with my hiring manager, Ian.
Okay. Yeah. And so the second interview was virtual.
Yeah, virtual.
So it was over like a video conference call, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know, can you talk a little bit more about that experience? I think especially for someone who hasn't done it before, it could feel a little awkward.
It was, I was nervous. Yeah, it was like the first time. Yeah, it was like my first time doing virtual. But Ian was really nice. I think just usually in the beginning it's like very chill. You kind of have a casual conversation, introducing and getting to learn more about each other. You kind of go into your work.
And at that point when you were presenting your work, was it also in the presentation format?
It was, yes. We use Zoom. Zoom is a tool that a lot of companies use when interviewing or doing virtual meetings. So I shared my screen and then I clicked through my slides as I talked. So that's how I presented it.
And then you moved past that round and into an on-site interview.
Yeah.
So how did you prepare for that?
Zendesk was very kind to send an email to me with kind of what's expected of me when I go and talk. So who I would be meeting with, what the sessions are, and then like how much work I should be presenting. I remember it was like 3 sessions on site. The first one was with 3 designers and 1 engineer, and Alexa was one of the designers there. The second session was with 2 engineers. Third one was a collaborative whiteboarding with 1 designer and my hiring manager, Ian.
Okay, so final question. What advice would you give someone who's like in the moment right now preparing their portfolios for an interview?
Preparing their portfolios, okay.
It could be for their offline or their online one.
Definitely have an offline and an online one, I think.
That's great, actually. I think most people that I've talked to don't have 2.
Don't have 2.
They usually have their online one, and they may at some point, once they get far enough in the interview process, they might they may be like, oh yeah, I should create this like presentation version. But you should really try to have both from the beginning.
Definitely try to have both. It's really important to make sure the work you're delivering is relevant and fit for the type of skills that they're looking for. So definitely read into the role description, and then if you don't have enough information, like try to get as much as you can about what specific skills. For example, like if they're looking for someone more who does like wireframing or prototyping, when you create your slides and present, definitely focus more on those areas. Making sure your work fits the needs of the company is really important. Yeah.
Anything else that comes to mind?
Don't worry too much about rejection. I think it's definitely something that we all face, and it's hard to deal with. Like I struggle with it too, but just remember that it's not always like you're not good enough. There's just so many different factors. Things change, so it's not always about you and your skills. It's from both sides, so really don't take it too personally.
That's really great. Yeah, it's really important not to personalize rejection.
Yeah.
There really are so many factors and things that are going on in any given company that if you're on the outside, you just don't have the context to, and so it's hard to truly know. And if you don't know, there's no need to tell yourself the bad story. Exactly. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. If you're applying to like 50 plus companies, you can't work at all of them anyway. So all you need is that one, and you got to keep persevering through.
Definitely.
I like that.
Yeah.
Grace, thank you so much. This was amazing. You have such great wisdom and all of your experience now, truly. If people wanted to learn more about you and your background online, where could they go to check you out?
You can go to my portfolio website. It's grace-dai.com.
Great. Grace, thanks. That was it.
Thank you, Alexa.
Bye.
Bye.
Hey.
Yay.
That was great.
That was?
Yeah.
It was really good.
You really have a lot of great things to share.